Good morning, Wildcats. If the admin team can just stay in the aisles, monitor behavior this morning, make sure we're demonstrating our core values. Welcome, class of 2025. If you're an upperclassman and happen to be in this assembly, you should be in the library. This should be for freshmen only, freshman class of 2025. And welcome. My name is Mr. Majewski. I'm your building principal. I've been associated with Clear Creek High School for the better part of 20 years, and it's an honor to be the principal here. I started as a teacher back in 2000, became an AP, associate principal, worked in HR, opened up Bayside Intermediate. Now I'm the principal here at Clear Creek High School, and it's my honor to welcome you this morning to Clear Creek. It's very important that we get you off to a good start. I want to thank, they may not be in here, but I want to thank our pals for all the work they did this morning in organizing the tours and the day. So thank you. Again, welcome to Clear Creek High School. This should be freshmen only. Again, my name's Mr. Majewski, and I just spoke about our core values. Many of you have been in Clear Creek High School for several years. You should be very familiar with these core values of trustworthiness, responsibility, respect, fairness, caring, and citizenship. If you can walk the talk in terms of living out our core values, we're going to have a successful high school experience, okay? And it's my experience as a principal, and like I said, I've been doing this for the better part of 20 years. What you put into high school is what you will get out of high school. So be involved, be engaged, get off to a quick start academically, because here's the deal. And I think Ms. Johnson's going to talk about this in her slide, or someone is, you have to earn credits to advance to the next grade level, okay? It's a credit-based system. You have to have so many credits to graduate. You just don't move on just because you turn another year older doesn't mean you move on to the next grade level. You have to earn credits in your class. And you earn credit by passing your class, and you earn credit by being here 90% of the time. And we'll talk about that later. Twofold. You have to make the grade. You have to be in attendance. And attendance is a very important part of you being successful at Creek. Next slide, please. All right, I'm going to introduce our administrative team. We've got Miss Orr. She's in D230. She's our associate principal. Our dean of instruction is Miss Johnson. Where's Miss Johnson at? There's Miss Johnson. And our assistant principals, last names A through C. She's in the E200s. That's Miss Lavelle. Miss Lavelle's back there. If your last name's A through C, Mr. Douglas, D through HE. Mr. Douglas, and he had a lot to do with organizing today's event. So thank you, Mr. Douglas. Miss Richardson, HF through MG. She will be in the C100s. Miss Kent, MH through SA in the D100s. Miss Kent standing in the middle. Thank you, Miss Kent. And then Mr. Olin is SB through Z. He's in the E100. So thank you, Miss Olin. Or Mr. Olin, sorry. Mr. Olin. Miss Olin's at CCI, right? There you go. All right, I'm going to turn it over to Miss Johnson, our Dean of Instruction. She has a few words to say about academics at Clear Creek High School. She handles all things instructional, to get you off to a good start and to ensure that you're successful academically and the teachers have what they need to ensure that you are successful. So, Ms. Johnson.
Thank you, Mr. Majewski. Welcome to Creek. I'm really excited. I saw a lot of big eyes and smiling faces this morning as you passed by the C200s, and I welcome you all. Your academic career obviously starts today at high school, and as Mr. Majewski alluded to, what's different about high school is that you have a grade point average, and Ms. Gailey's going to talk a lot more about that in the coming slides. But the one thing I told several of the groups, but I want to make sure everyone hears, is that what can really kill that grade point average is not completing your work. 100 becomes a 50 with just 1 0. Complete your work and hand it in, even if you don't know what you're doing. It'll give your teachers the opportunity to support you. If you turn in work and you're lost or you're confused, they're going to take a look at that and be able to troubleshoot with you. They're your partners in your education. But not doing your work, that's the #1 way to ensure you will not be successful at Creek. So that's my first and biggest tip for you, is just complete your work no matter how hard you might think it is, and then we'll help take it from there. I have sort of a downer slide that I have to go over with and that's that honor code piece. So you guys probably know about the honor code because it was enforced, hopefully, at intermediate school. The biggest problem up at high school that we see with the honor code isn't just blatant academic dishonesty using your phone on a test or something. Most of you know better than to do that. It's the plagiarism piece. Plagiarism will be enforced in every class at Clear Creek High School. It's not just an English class. If you're doing a project for social studies, science, any of your electives that requires research from outside sources, the expectation is that you cite your sources from here moving forward. Plagiarism can hurt you, and these are the repercussions of any kind of cheating when it comes to major assessments at Clear Creek High School. So these are the things that can happen. You can receive a 0 and a U. That also takes you, the minute you get an academic violation like this, if you were eligible for exemptions, which if you're taking AP courses like human geography, it would wipe you out of any exemptions in the spring semester finals. You're going to receive ISS. You're not going to be able to play or participate in your next activity for UIL purposes. And if you're in, I should have changed that from pre-AP to honors, but if you're in an honors level course, you could be removed from that course and placed in the on-level section of that course. And then, like I said, you'll lose your final exam exemptions if you're eligible. If you're in Honor Society, you're not in Honor Society for that year anymore. And then it could be reported on college applications. Guys, it's better to turn it in a day late than it is to cheat. Just do the work yourself. We want academic honesty and integrity here at Clear Creek High School. Other than that, I think that's all I get to talk about, which isn't very fun. But I am here to support you in the C200s. I'm here to support you academically. And so if you need anything, please be sure to stop by the C200s. And I wish you the very best high school experience at Clear Creek High School. Here you go.
All right. All right, guys. Welcome, Wildcats. My name is Mrs. Gailey. I am the lead counselor here at Clear Creek High School, class of '96. So I'm excited to be here with you guys and welcoming you to a new school year. We've been looking forward to seeing your faces. Your counseling staff has been working hard over the summer, getting the schedules ready for you. So we've seen your names. So now we're glad to be able to put the faces to them. So I want to introduce to you your counseling center staff. If your last name is A through C, you're with Miss Barnett, Mrs. Collins, D through HE, Miss Wilson's HF through MG, Miss Adian, MH through SA, and Miss Mills, SB through Z. So they're paired up with an assistant principal that was introduced to you earlier. So that's going to be your main point of contact, whether you have a question about your courses, whether you've got graduation requirements, whether you've got a social or emotional need, you're just having a bad day. Those are the 5 ladies that you're going to kind of make that initial point of contact with. We also have 2 amazing student support counselors, Mrs. Flores and Mrs. Hernandez. So our counseling center goal is to get you across that stage, right? Class of 2025. I know it seems like forever and a day away, but you will hear us all tell you that it will be here before you know it. In just 4 years, I'll be sitting in a very similar meeting with you talking about graduation and college applications or going to the military or different things. So it gets here before you know it. But we want you to have a successful 4 years at Clear Creek High School, so it's not just academics. So don't forget that we're also here for any of that social and emotional support for you as well. So Mr. Majewski touched on this a little bit. I'm going to explain one more time because this is new for you. You've never had to work with this system. Elementary school and junior high, intermediate does not have to deal with any types of credits. So you've probably never heard that type of language being spoke with you in regards to your semester grades. So you get semester grades twice a year, right? The end of the fall semester, so December, when you break for Christmas, and then again at the end of the spring semester in May when you break for the school year, okay? Now during the fall semester, that semester grade is made up of your first 9 weeks grade, your second 9 weeks grade, and a portion of the semester final exam. Same thing in the spring, the third 9 weeks grade, the fourth 9 weeks grade, and then your spring final exam, okay? But those semester grades twice a year are what will earn you credits or not earn you credits, depending on how you do, okay? So I'm gonna give an example. So high school, and you go to 2:35, that's my fault. I did not correct that. You could get out 5 minutes earlier, but you have 7 classes a day. You've got an opportunity to earn a half a credit each semester. So 3.5 credits in the fall, 3.5 credits in the spring, totaling 7 credits, right? Your 7 classes that you're enrolled in, okay? So this is kind of, I gave an example of a report card, a semester report card of a student. They're enrolled in 7 classes. You can see their grade for the semester 1, okay? So this is what they got in December, using that first 9 weeks and second 9 weeks and final exam. These were their final fall semester grades. They passed everything but Algebra 1 and Spanish 1. So when you look in the far right column, you see that no credit was earned. Okay, so they only earned 2.5 out of the possible 3.5 credits available to them. Okay, if they stay on this same track for the spring, how many credits would they then earn in the spring if they stay on the same track? 5. No, 5 total. Sorry, total. 5. Okay, that student's going to come back this time next year and still be a freshman. Okay, because you must earn at least 6 to be promoted to the next grade. Okay, and freshmen, a lot of times y'all don't understand that because you've never had to do this in junior high. Okay, so that's why when you're, we're talking about grades and being successful and making sure you're here every day, you're using tutorial time, you're asking questions, you're being engaged. Every 9 weeks is important because this is what can get you to this total in December and again in May. Okay, so now, but here's the deal. The student has an opportunity to get it together in the spring, though. We do allow you to average out, okay? Passing grade is what? 70, right? 70 or higher, you passed, you earned your credit. Okay, the student made a 68 in Algebra 1 in the fall. What does that student need to make in the spring to get a 70 average? 72, okay, 72. Okay, so if the student makes a 72 or higher in the spring, 72 plus 68 divided by 2 is 70. We will go back and give that student the credit for the fall. Okay, so that's why we don't want you, if you do bad this fall and it's like, God, I bombed, it's okay. There is a safety net there. There's an opportunity for you to make that up. Okay, so don't give up. That's our main thing. All right, so with this being said, though, there's an attendance piece that is tied to this. In high school, actually really in all grades, you are to be present for 90% of the semester. Okay, so if you're someone that likes to not come to school or has trouble waking up at 7:20, we got to get together and we got to get together fast, okay? Because even though you pass, if the attendant says, they've missed more than 10 days, we're going to take that credit away from you, okay? And then you're going to have to go through an appeal process and make up hours if you can even do that. Okay, so that's, again, something that's a little bit different. You've never had to do that in junior high, okay? All right, level change procedures, just a few things. A lot of y'all are sitting in honors or an AP Human Geography or AP World History or an honors class. Just a few notes I want to make sure you understand. As you go through the coursework over the next 3 weeks, that's a good check-in. And then at the 9 weeks, if for some reason you need to level down, okay, you need to make sure that you look at the third 9 weeks and the first 3 weeks and the 9 weeks, okay? And we want to make sure that you've been to tutorials, you've communicated with your teacher, and that you're giving your best effort, but just know that that's there, okay? After the 9 weeks, you're there till semester, okay? Any schedule change requests are done online, Okay, once you go to the home page of your It's Learning, this will be an important part of your homepage. Scroll down just a little bit. You'll see the counselor corner. That's where all of our contact information is. Starting next Monday, that's also where the links will be when you want to request an appointment with your counselor. I'll post this for you available starting on Monday. So if you need to see Miss Barnett, you need to see me, you need to see Mrs. Mills, whatever, that's where you will go. Homepage of It's Learning, Counselor Corner, and then use the request to see my counselor form. That is also where the schedule change request form is located right now. Okay, we're not changing a whole lot of schedules, but you can ask away, but I may tell you no. Okay, but that's where that form is located. Okay, but just remember, your counselors are here for you. We're available during lunches as well. Please make sure you utilize us because we want to make sure you have a successful 4 years here at Clear Creek High School. All right.
All right, we already touched on this a little bit today. Expectations as a Wildcat and the core value of responsibility. You need to participate and be supportive of the learning and teaching environment. We do not tolerate things that take away from the opportunities of others to learn. You need to be courteous and respectful of others. Be in class daily and punctual. You need to be on time. That's the expectation. School starts at Clear Creek High School at 7:20. You need to be in your seat, ready to work when the tardy bell rings. Coming in at 7:30, that's just not going to work. You're going to have a consequence for that. Okay? Prepare for your classes daily. Be well-groomed, dressed appropriately, dress for success. Respect the rights and privileges of other students. Respect others' property, and that includes the school environment. We have had renovations to Clear Creek High School over the years, and this is the best that the school has ever looked. I need you to keep it that way. If you vandalize, you tear up the place, we investigate. If you're found wrongdoing, we are going to press charges. There's just no questions asked. You will be dealing with a liaison officer. Okay? And cooperate and assist school staff in maintaining safety, order, and discipline. We have drills throughout the year that we will conduct to go over our safety protocols, whether that's a lockdown or hold or whatever safety drills that we're having. We'll have fire drills throughout the month or at least once a month. So we need you to be on your A game in terms of following all the procedures. You'll take the lead from your teacher when that time comes. Next slide. Oh, thanks. You got it? Thank you. Okay. Citizenship. Obviously, alcohol and drugs are not going to be tolerated at Clear Creek High School. Fair game. We do have a drug dog that comes around the campus. They're allowed to search classrooms. They're allowed to search bags. They're allowed to search lockers. They're allowed to search vehicles. So don't put yourself in a compromising position by making those choices. There is no place for that at Clear Creek High School. That also encompasses vaping, e-cigarettes. You'll have a major consequence for that, starting with the 3 days of an ISS assignment, and then it could eventually lead to AEP, depending on the number of offenses. So just make good choices. Surround yourself with people that are making good choices, and you'll have nothing to worry about. Again, all back to the core values, okay? Live the core values, walk the core values, and you will not have to deal with that kind of stuff. Verification of enrollment and VOE. That's Miss Orr.
All right. Good morning, Wildcats. I'm Mrs. Orr. Like we said earlier, my office is located in D230. One of the things that you may, at some point this year, request from my office is a verification of enrollment. How many of you think you may be getting a learner's permit at some point this school year for driving? Okay. All right. A handful of you. Maybe some of you will change your mind later. So in order to do that, listen up. Wasn't conversation. Don't need to talk about when you turn 15 or 16. Maybe some of you can get a driver's license this year. Who knows? So, all of that to say, if you are going to, at any point in time, while you're here at Clear Creek High School, get a learner's permit or a driver's license, you have to have a verification of enrollment with you when you go, okay? That's a state of Texas requirement. So, to do that, you will request your VOE online. There's a link on It's Learning, and there's also a link on the Clear Creek High School website. You will fill out the information. It's your name, your student ID number, and the date of when you're going to the DMV. So you'll fill that out, and Mrs. Watkins, my secretary, will send you that VOE if you qualify within 48 hours of your request. So a couple of things you need to know in order to qualify for a verification of enrollment. It's based on the previous year's attendance or previous semester attendance. So if you're needing it this fall, it's based on your attendance at CCI from the spring. If you need it in the spring, it'll be based on your fall attendance from here. And I said CCI, but wherever you went to intermediate schools. So, but if you need it in the spring, it's based on this fall's attendance. We've touched on this a little bit, and we'll talk about it more, but you have to be in attendance 90% of the time. If you are not in attendance 90% of the time, you'll have to wait an entire semester before you can request that verification of enrollment again, right? So what you're going to hear as we keep talking today and in the next few weeks, attendance and grades are very important. They're going to be your key to opportunities on campus. And if you don't take care of your business in terms of grades and attendance, you're going to miss out on opportunities, things that aren't necessarily just given to you, okay? They're privileges that you have to earn in order to participate here at school. And another component you also have to get your VOE, have turned in your proof of residency. Okay, that's not up there, but that's another piece. You have to have turned that in. That's your parents' responsibility to submit that on your back to school forms. Okay. Mrs. Richardson's going to take over the next couple slides.
Good morning. So what you need to know about dress code is that during normal school hours, you are required to wear your ID badges. And Mr. Olin will be going more into detail about ID badges a little later. Nothing can be worn on your head. No caps, beanies, hoodies, nothing at all whatsoever once you enter the building. No garments or accessories that are suggestive, inappropriate, vulgar, advertise anything that's illegal, alcohol, tobacco, they're all prohibited. No garments that can be interpreted as gang-related can be worn on campus, and the campus administration ultimately determines the appropriateness of the dress of the students. If you are found to be in violation of the dress code, you will be asked to change, and you will be counted unexcused for any classes that you may have missed. As far as electronic devices and cell phones, they are allowed between classes and in the cafeteria. They can be confiscated by any member of the staff. They can be searched by any administrator, and if you refuse to comply, then you will face additional disciplinary consequences. We do have a one earbud only rule. First warning for cell phones is you may pick it up at the end of the school day. The second time, you have to pay a $15 fine, and then you may pick it up. The third time is you pay $15, but your parent has to pick it up.
Well, good morning, I'm Mr. Douglas. I have a pretty simple slide here. Campus deliveries, as it says, no outside campus deliveries are allowed for this school year. Okay, so no Whataburger, no Sonic, no deliveries whatsoever with food, and no birthday cakes and balloons, anything like that, okay? That includes lunch deliveries and anything like that, so no deliveries for the school year. Attendance. Attendance is under the core value of responsibility. Like it says, you are required by law to come to school and attend all of your classes. If you're absent from school, you must bring a note within 3 school days. This morning when you went on your tour, you need to turn it into the attendance office. That's in the very front of the building. So if you're absent, you have 3 school days to bring a note. please make sure you bring those notes so you can get that absence excused. Make sure to bring the note to the attendance office. If you're truant from class, truant means skipping class, not reporting to class, you will be assigned ISS. So we got to make all of our class periods. If you know in advance that you're going to be on a trip, please visit your pod secretary or the attendance office for a discretionary absence request. Okay, so if we're going to go on a family vacation and you need to be out on a Friday, just if you know about that well in advance, please come by your the attendance office or the pod secretary so you can get a discretionary form so you can get that absence excused for you. Okay? Attendance appeals. At the end of each semester, we look at absences for students, okay? And you have an opportunity to appeal those absences. If the absences are unexcused, they won't be able to be appealed, so you have to go and make up those hours in our attendance appeal detentions, okay? So in order to get credit for your classes, you may only miss 8 classes in the fall semester and then 9 in the spring. Attendance appeals will begin at the end of October in the fall and then right after spring break in the spring. And we start them early. We start them pretty much right after that first 9 weeks because we want to make sure you guys realize, like, oh no, I'm already at 9 absences. I already have to make up 1 hour. Okay, so we start them early so we can get them done and that you realize that you can no longer be absent much more or at all at that time. Appeal hours can only be served at Clear Creek High School in a D hall or in a D hall. And if you owe hours, your pod secretary will call you down and give you the forms to record your appeal hours, okay? There's a whole process that we do. The pod secretaries are great at calling you in and going over what you need to do to make up those hours, okay? But it's your responsibility to be in class on time every day. And if you're not doing that, then we get into this process, okay? Lunch times. All right, I'm going to pass it over to Ms. Lavelle.
Good morning. So I'm Mrs. Lavelle. I will be your principal if you have a last name A through C, and I'm upstairs in the E200s. So lunchtime, you're going to be able to sit in the main cafeteria, the auxiliary cafeteria, or the courtyard every day this year. You're going to have a 30-minute lunch every day. So that means if you have A lunch, you have A. You don't have A and B, okay? You get to go to one lunch. After your lunch, you're going to go back to your class when it's over. For your safety, please don't sit at the end of the tables. Find a seat during lunch. We're not going to be standing while we're eating. And you can't go to the vending machine and decide to go to 5th period. So you either have lunch or you're going to 5th period. When you come into the lunch, you can go straight towards your lunch line, grab your lunch, and take a seat. Again, you can take a seat in the main cafeteria, the auxiliary, or the courtyard. Textbooks. Again, I'm upstairs in the E200s. If you need a textbook this year for any of your classes, you're going to come see Mrs. Howell, that's my secretary, in the E200s, and you're going to fill out a form. Again, when you fill out that form and it requests the textbooks, all my books is not going to work for us. We need to know what class you need your textbook for. And give us about 1 day turnaround so you can come back the next day between 1st or 7th period and check with Miss Howell to see if your book is ready.
All right, again, I'm Mr. Olin. I'm over ID badges. I am in the E100s, Echo 100s. ID badges came in Friday at the very end of the day at about 3:30. We are working on sorting those. Our goal is to have the IDs to you by the end of the week. Hopefully by Thursday, they'll be in your 3rd period class. So we'll get IDs to you by the end of the week. Again, you get your first one for free. After that, if you lose it or you don't have it for whatever reason, it will cost you $5. You'll come down to the E100s. We'll get you another ID, an ID badge, and a lanyard. It will cost you $5. It will go on your Skyward account, or if you have that money, you can pay it at that time. Again, your ID will also be used to purchase items in the cafeteria. Until you get them, you'll be able to use the PIN numbers. But again, you'll have your IDs later this week. They are to be worn and visible at all times when you are on campus.
Good morning. I'm Miss Kent, assistant principal in the D Dinosaur 100s. If you have last names that start with MH through SA and you need anything, we're here to help you. If you would like to request a locker, we don't use a lot of lockers across the campus, but if you would like to request one, please come see us in the D100 office. We'll be happy to help you out. If any of you get to the point where you'll be parking on campus, you'll also need to check It's Learning or the website, fill out the parking application. Once you're a licensed driver and you have all the steps taken care of, we'd be happy to issue you a parking permit for $35.
Okay, Wildcats, we've got just a little bit left in our presentation today. I need your attention. This is not probably going to be new information for any of you that have been in CCISD before. However, it is important that we review it each year, and then I'm going to tell you a little bit about how each of these SRPs is implemented at Clear Creek High School, because this campus is different than any campus you've been on before and requires a couple of modifications to how we do things. So I want you to be familiar with how we operate with our standard or our safety response protocols. First and foremost, in order to keep this building safe, you've heard them before, you're going to hear them again. It's important that we always exhibit our core values, all right? If you guys treat each other with trustworthiness and respect, and you are responsible for yourselves, we're going to be in a much better position here at Clear Creek High School and on a much safer campus, okay? So first thing I want to tell you before we jump into the actual protocols, if you don't already, I would encourage you to download the district's CCISD Alerts app, okay? This app lets you do a handful of things, and it gives you some information. First and foremost, top left up there is where you can do anonymous alerts. In years past, that was, you heard see something, say something. Does that sound familiar? Just give me a head nod if it does, okay? Same thing. That's the same thing. They've just updated the name of it to tip reporting system. That's where you can report anonymous tips, but you can also report tips with your name attached to it, all right? Here's what I would ask. I don't know what your past campuses have asked, but what I need you to do here at Clear Creek High School, if you are going to report something using the tip reporting app, be as detailed as possible, all right? Give as much information as you can. My standard example that I use is if you say, I saw a boy vaping on campus. Okay, and y'all giggle, guys, we get it all the time, all right? You saw a boy vaping on campus. What am I supposed to do with that? I can't do much. But if I saw someone in the D100 bathroom wearing a blue shirt vaping between second and third period. Gives me a lot more to go on, all right? So as much detail, as much information as you can provide in that situation, all right? Anytime you need to use that tip reporting app. It's going to give you any emergency notifications that go out district-wide. It has self-health assessment information, our COVID protocols. The bottom left down there, the little lock, is you can access all of what you're supposed to do in all of the safety protocols there. So we'll talk about the sheet that is posted in all of your classrooms. But if you need a quick reference where you're not near one of those sheets, the safety protocols are there. And there's also a link to Crime Stoppers. So we talked a little bit about anonymous alerts, but this allows individuals to anonymously or not, you can attach your name to it, report things on campus. You can use the computer web browser so you can access it through the district website, or it's easier to use on the app from your phone. So we do have in each classroom, and I want to talk about this because I think it's important. Our mentality is that you guys need to know how to act and respond in situations where there might be an emergency. It shouldn't just be the adults. You guys are in high school now. You're mature enough to know how to act and respond in a situation, and we want to make sure you know how to do it appropriately. So each phone in the classrooms have a button on them that's a 40911 button. That button dials directly to our safe and secure schools and notifies emergency dispatch, okay? Why that's important? If you're in the building, and you're in a classroom and something happens and hopefully this isn't the situation, but there's not an adult nearby to help, and you need immediate action, you can press that button, okay? And you're going to get an adult on the other end of the phone that can help. But I also want you to know that if you press that button not when there's an emergency, you will always get a campus administrator and an SLO, even if it's an accident. Okay, you are always going to get, at minimum, a campus officer and a campus administrator that responds to that. And that would be considered a false alarm if you press that button and there's not an emergency. Okay, and there is law enforcement recourse for a false alarm. Okay, so you need to know that. It is there if you need it, but it's not a game. Okay? All right, so our standard response protocols, we have 5 of them. We have a hold, a secure, lockdown, evacuate, and shelter. In a hold, all right, if we go into a hold, and we will practice all of these on campus as well. You've probably practiced them before, but we'll practice them here also. Staff and visitors, if we go on a hold, they're going to stay in their current area until further notice. They may continue normal activities in their current locations, but we want to clear the hallways. So examples of a hold, there might have been an altercation that happened in the hallway, and it's about to be a passing period, and we don't want a bunch of people in the hallway while we're trying to clean it up. There could have been a medical emergency that transpired, and we have EMS coming to campus. It's not harming anybody else, but we don't need a bunch of people in the hallway while there's an ambulance trying to get a person the help and assistance that they need. So in a hold situation, the goal is to keep everybody out of the hallway, business as usual in the classroom, and then get back to business as soon as we deem that the hallways are clear. Okay? In a secure situation, this is when there's a threat or a hazard outside of the building. It's not directly impacting the safety of the people in the building, but there's something going on outside. It could be something going on at a sister campus like CCI that's close by. We've got a lot of businesses in this area, and homes and apartment complexes that are nearby. So it's a threat that's outside, but we need to get everybody inside until the threat is rectified, is solved. All right? So in this situation, staff and students are going to return to the building. You're going to continue business as usual in the building during a secure, but you cannot leave the building. Visitors won't be allowed in. Nobody's going to be allowed in until it's over. Nobody's going to be allowed to leave until it's over. So in the event that maybe mom or dad's coming to check you out for a dentist appointment and we are in a secure situation, you won't be able to leave until it is lifted. Okay, until that we are told that the exterior parts of the building are safe again for people to move about. I told you some things would be specific to Clear Creek High School. In a secure, we're typically not going to move from class period to class period because, as you noticed, when you came over here to our auditorium, you can't get here without going outside. All right? And although our courtyard is secured by locked gates, we still typically won't move about outdoors if we're in a secure situation. So we'll remain in the class that we were in when we went into the secure. All right, a lockdown is going to be our most critical safety response protocol. This is when there is a threat directly in the building. All right, if we go into a lockdown, what is going to happen? All occupants are going to move out of sight and away from windows. We're going to turn off lights to make the room seem unoccupied and have occupants maintain silence. Guys, this is if there is an intruder in the building. Your safety is you're not safe if we have to go into a lockdown. Let's put it that way. Plain and simple, not safe. A lot of these things that we are asking you to do are difficult in a scary situation such as this. No cell phones. Stay quiet, move into a corner, but you've got to let us respond appropriately when something like this transpires so that we can make sure that you are safe. An evacuate drill, your most common evacuate drill we do once a month. You've been doing them once a month since you were in kindergarten, right? That's going to be your fire drill, also known as an evacuate drill. You have a specific spot on campus that you're going to go. There will be an adult that leads you to that location. Attendance will be taken before and after you evacuate the building. And then a shelter drill. This is called when protective actions are needed based on an outside threat or hazard. So ironically, our friends over in LaPorte were in a shelter just last night, right, from a chemical situation. So that could be an example of a shelter. If there's something in the environment outside that requires us to stay in the building, we could go into a shelter. Depending on the reason for the shelter, one of us will tell you what you need to do. There's different types of shelter situations. If there's a tornado, you're going to shelter, duck, and cover. You will be given the instructions that you need to do in a shelter situation. Severe weather, shelter for a hailstorm, you'll enter the building until the all clear is given. Hazmat spill, we'll turn off the HVAC and you'll stay where you are. And then in the event of an earthquake, you would duck and cover similar to a tornado. Haven't experienced that one yet, but it's always good to know what you might need to do. Okay, let's talk about the SRP sign, the Safety Response Protocol sign. These are all throughout our building, but most specifically, in each of your classrooms, we have a standard location because like I told you before, you should know how to respond just like the adults should know how to respond. I don't, however, expect you to have memorized exactly everything you're supposed to do in an emergency situation. But in the event that you need to reference something and know how to respond, I want you to know where to go to get it anytime you're in a classroom in our building. So every single one of your classrooms should have one of these signs that walks you through the standard response protocols by the door, next to the fire map, and next to the phone. That's all in one location, not in 3 different spots. But every classroom should have a phone next to the door, and that phone will have the fire map and the standard response protocol sign next to it. Okay, so it's that standard spot that you know to look in any classroom.